All right, so you want to write the cleanest, most efficient procedures in Business Central, but you're not sure where to start? Tables, pages, code units. It can definitely feel overwhelming, but we're going to help you sort through all of it.
And luckily for you, we have this awesome video by Dr. Gumati, a true Business Central wizard, breaking down the pros and cons of each approach with some seriously helpful real-world examples.
I love that he calls them wizards, so much better than expert. And you know me, I love a good real-world example. Let's dive in. One thing Dr. Gumati emphasizes right off the bat is that no matter which way you go, tables, pages, or code units, there are these core principles you always want to keep in mind.
He calls them the trifecta: maintainability, reusability, and code organization.
Okay, so not quite as catchy as trifecta, but definitely important. Break it down for us. Why are these three things so crucial?
Think of it this way. You're building a skyscraper, not just a little house. Maintainability is like having clear access to all the wiring and plumbing so you don't have to tear down walls for a simple fix. Reusability is like using the same blueprint for multiple floors, saving you tons of time and effort.
Okay, I'm with you so far. So then what's code organization in this skyscraper analogy?
Code organization is like having a detailed blueprint that's not only accurate, but also easy to read and understand. It's about labeling everything clearly so you and anyone else working on the project can quickly find what they need and make changes without causing a structural disaster.
So basically, if you want your Business Central projects to stand the test of time and be a joy to work with, you can't ignore these three principles.
Exactly. And with those in mind, let's start with procedures and tables.
Seems like the most straightforward approach, right? Keep all the code related to a particular table right there in the table itself.
Right. It's appealing because of its simplicity. All the code is neatly organized in one place, which makes it easy to find and understand. It's like storing all the tools you need to work on a specific floor of your skyscraper in a toolbox right on that floor.
Super convenient. But there's got to be a downside, right? No free lunches and all that.
Of course. The downside is that table procedures can lead to less modular code. It's like using the same hammer and nails for every single task on that floor, even when a power drill would be much more efficient.
So what you're saying is if I need similar functionality in another table, I'll end up duplicating code, which can get messy and inefficient, especially for larger applications.
Exactly. It's like having to lug that same toolbox up and down multiple floors instead of having a central tool room with everything organized and easily accessible.
Makes sense. So table procedures are great for simple tasks, but maybe not the best choice for complex, multifaceted projects.
Right. But that doesn't mean table procedures are useless. Dr. Gumati gives a perfect example of when they do make sense. Calculating sales invoice commissions.
Ooh, automatically calculating commissions. Now that's something I can get behind. Tell me more.
Imagine you have your sales invoice table with a total amount field. Every time a new invoice is created or the total amount changes, you want to calculate a commission for the salesperson. You could write a procedure within the sales invoice table itself that's triggered whenever that total amount field is updated. It automatically grabs the total kernel, applies the commission percentage, and boom, you're done.
No more manual calculations, no more spreadsheets, just pure automated efficiency. I like it.
Okay, so we've tackled tables. What about those times when the code needs to interact directly with what the user sees? Those moments when something complex needs to happen right there on a specific page.
That's where page procedures come in, and we'll dive into those right after this. Page procedures are like having specialized toolkits strategically placed throughout your skyscraper, each one designed for a specific task on a specific floor.
Okay, that visual really helps. So instead of having a bunch of general-purpose tools scattered everywhere, you have these focused toolkits right where they're needed most. Exactly. Let's say you have a sales order page with a lot of intricate logic happening behind the scenes, like a dynamic discount calculation that adjusts based on customer loyalty or the total order value.
Discounts, those can get complicated fast. I'm already feeling this example.
Instead of having that discount logic spread out all of your code base, you can encapsulate it within a page procedure specific to the sales order page.
So everything related to that complex discount calculation lives right there on the page where it's needed. That sounds like a recipe for a much cleaner, more organized code base.
It definitely is. Keeping those intricate operations contained within the page makes the code much easier to understand, maintain, and troubleshoot. It's like having a dedicated electrical panel on each floor for all the lighting and power outlets specific to that area.
Love that analogy. So page procedures are all about keeping those complex page-specific operations organized and manageable. But I'm guessing there's a potential downside here too.
You're catching on. The downside is similar to table procedures: potential duplication. If you need that same discount logic on another page, say a quote page, you might find yourself copying and pasting code.
Which, as we've established, can lead to headaches down the road. So page procedures, super helpful for keeping complex page-specific logic organized, but not the best for situations where you need that same functionality across multiple pages or areas of your application.
Precisely. But don't worry, there's a solution for that. And it's called code units.
Okay, code units. These sound powerful and maybe a bit intimidating. I'm ready to be impressed.
Code units are like having a central tool room in your skyscraper. It's where you store those heavy-duty tools and equipment that you need to use throughout the entire building.
So instead of having multiple copies of the same tools scattered across different floors, you have one master set that everyone can access and use.
Exactly. You write a code unit once to define its functions, and then you can call it from any table page report, you name it, anywhere in your Business Central world.
Okay, now that's powerful and a major time saver too. What kind of real-world scenario would call for a code unit?
A classic example is a currency conversion utility. Imagine you're building a multinational e-commerce platform, and you need to convert currencies in various parts of your application. Sales orders, invoices, reports, you name it.
Hold on, stop the presses. This is genius. I can already picture how many times I've struggled with currency conversions scattered across different parts of an application.
Right. Instead of rewriting the same logic over and over again, you build a code unit that handles all your currency conversions. It takes in parameters, like the currencies involved, the amount to convert, and any necessary exchange rates, and spits out the converted amount.
Building this as a code unit, it's like suddenly having a universal translator for your entire Business Central system. So you're saying, I can build this currency conversion code unit once, and then call it from anywhere in my application that needs currency conversion.
You got it. No more rewriting the same logic, no more inconsistencies, just pure efficiency and elegance. It's a dream come true for maintainability.
That is a serious aha moment right there. So if code units are so awesome, why don't we just use them for everything? There must be a trade-off somewhere.
There is a slight trade-off. Setting up a code unit does require a bit more upfront effort. You have to create the unit, define its functions, and think about how it will be used across your application. But it's like investing in high-quality tools for your skyscraper. Sure, they might cost a bit more upfront, but they'll save you time, money, and headaches in the long run.
Okay, that makes sense. So to summarize, we've got table procedures for simple logic tied to specific fields like our commission example, page procedures for complex operations that happen within a specific page like that dynamic discount scenario, and code units are the superheroes of reusability, perfect for building those powerful tools and utilities that you can use throughout your entire Business Central world.
You nailed it. Dr. Gumati emphasizes that thinking strategically about where your procedure lives will make your code base a dream to work with. It's about choosing the right tool for the job and building a system that's both efficient and elegant.
Okay, my brain is buzzing with all these great concepts, but now I'm thinking, what are some of the best practices for actually writing these procedures? Any pro tips from the master, Dr. Gumati?
Absolutely. One of the things he emphasizes is the importance of clear naming conventions.
Oh, that's a good one. I've definitely been guilty of using generic names like Procedure 1 or Function X in the past.
We've all been there. But here's the thing. Clear descriptive names are like having clear labels on all your tools. Imagine trying to find a Phillips head screwdriver in a drawer full of unlabeled tools. It'd be a nightmare, right?
Totally. I've wasted way too much time digging through messy code trying to figure out what does what. So instead of Procedure 1, give it a name that clearly describes what it does, like calculate sales commission or apply loyalty discount.
Exactly. It makes your code infinitely easier to understand both for yourself and for anyone else who might be working with it.
Okay, naming conventions. Check. What else should we keep in mind?
Documentation is another big one. It might seem tedious, but trust me, future, you will thank you for it.
Ugh, don't even remind me. Past me has definitely left future me stranded in a sea of undocumented code more times than I care to admit.
We've all been there. But here's the thing. Clear, concise comments within your procedures are like having instruction manuals for your tools. They explain not just what the code is doing, but why it's doing it.
So even if I'm the only one who's going to be working with this code, documenting it is still a good habit to get into.
Absolutely. Think of it as leaving breadcrumbs for your future self. Plus, you never know when you might need to hand off a project to someone else. And well-documented code is a gift to anyone who have to work with it.
Okay, naming, documenting. What else should we have on our procedure checklist?
Dr. Gumati also talks about error handling, which is absolutely crucial for building robust and reliable code.
Okay, error handling, that sounds a bit technical. What's the gist?
It's all about anticipating things that could go wrong in your code. Invalid data, unexpected inputs, external system failures, and gracefully handling those situations.
So instead of my entire application crashing when something unexpected happens, error handling helps it gracefully handle the situation and keep running smoothly.
Exactly. It's like having safety features built into your skyscraper.
Like sprinklers and fire alarms?
You got it. They might not be
Yeah.
used every day, but when you need them, you're really glad they're there.
Okay, error handling. Essential safety features for our code. What else should we keep in mind as we build out these amazing Business Central procedures?
Performance. No matter how brilliant your code is, if it's slow and clunky, nobody's going to be happy.
Makes sense. We all want our Business Central applications to be lightning fast. But how do we actually make that happen?
There are a few key strategies Dr. Gumati outlines in his video. One is to avoid unnecessary database calls within your procedures.
Okay, so each time my code has to access the database, it adds a bit of overhead and slows things down.
Exactly. It's like having to take the elevator down to the ground floor every time you need a tool from the central tool room. If you can group your requests and grab multiple tools at once, it's going to be much more efficient.
So I should be thinking about how to minimize those database trips and do as much work as possible in memory.
Exactly. And another key performance booster is using variables and data structures efficiently.
I am all ears. Give me those performance-boosting tips.
Choosing the right data type for your variables and structuring your data in a way that makes sense for the task at hand can make a huge difference in how quickly your code runs.
So it's not just about what my code does, but how it does it.
Precisely. It's like the difference between using a handsaw and a power saw to cut through a large piece of wood.
Both will get the job done, but one is going to be much faster and less labor-intensive.
Got it. So to recap, we've got clear naming, thorough documentation, smart error handling, and performance optimization. Anything else we should have on our procedure checklist before we wrap up?
One final but crucial point.
Testing.
Testing. Okay, that seems obvious, but I have a feeling there's more to it than just hitting the run button and hoping for the best.
There definitely is. Testing isn't just about making sure your code works in a perfect scenario. It's about testing it under different conditions, with different inputs, and even trying to break it on purpose to see how it handles errors.
So it's like stress testing our skyscraper to make sure it can withstand high winds and earthquakes?
Exactly. You want to make sure your code can handle the unexpected and come out stronger on the other side. The more you test your code, the more confident you can be that it will perform reliably in the real world, no matter what challenges it faces.
Okay, I'm feeling pretty empowered here. Clear naming, thorough documentation, smart error handling, performance optimization, and rigorous testing. Did I miss anything?
I think you've covered the essentials.
Awesome. After all this talk about procedures, I'm itching to start applying what we've learned. What do you think? Should we wrap things up and let our listener get to work?
Let's do it. We've covered a ton of ground, but there's always more to learn. Business Central is a vast and ever-evolving platform, and the world of development is constantly changing. But that's what makes it so exciting, right?
It definitely keeps things interesting. You know, after this deep dive, I feel like we've gone from feeling a bit intimidated by all these different types of procedures to having a solid roadmap for how to use them effectively.
That's exactly what we were hoping for. You can apply this knowledge to so many different scenarios in Business Central. Think about all the processes you could streamline, all the time you could save, just by choosing the right type of procedure and applying those best practices we talked about.
My mind's already racing with possibilities, but I have to admit there's one thing that's still bugging me. We've talked about tables, pages, and code units, but what about the situations where the lines get a little blurry? What if I'm not sure which approach is the best?
That's a fantastic question. And it's something every developer grapples with. Sometimes there isn't a clear-cut right answer. It really depends on the specifics of your project, how complex the logic is, and even your own preferences as a developer.
So how do we navigate those gray areas? Any words of wisdom from Dr. Gumati?
He emphasizes the importance of taking a step back and looking at the big picture. Ask yourself, what's the main goal of this procedure? Where will it be used? How often will it be called? How can I make it as maintainable and reusable as possible?
So it's all about context.
Exactly. And sometimes the best way to figure out the right approach is to just experiment. Try writing the procedure in a table, then try in the page, then in a code unit. See which one feels the most natural, the most efficient, the most right for the situation.
I like that. It's like trying on different hats until you find the one that fits perfectly. So no matter how complex or confusing things might seem, there's always a way to find the right solution.
Absolutely. And remember, there's no shame in asking for help. The Business Central community is incredibly supportive, and there are tons of resources available online. Dr. Gumati's YouTube channel is a great place to start.
It's like having a whole team of expert developers cheering us on. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling ready to tackle some procedures. This deep dive has given me the knowledge, the confidence, and the inspiration to dive right in.
That's fantastic to hear. As you start building your own procedures, here's a final thought to leave you with. Think about the procedures you encounter every day in your work with Business Central. Are there any that could be streamlined, automated? Any that are causing headaches or slowing you down?
Ooh, that's a good challenge. I bet there are tons of opportunities hiding in plain sight.
Exactly. So put on your developer hat. Embrace those core principles of maintainability, reusability, and code organization, and go create some magic. Build those time-saving, headache-reducing solutions that will make you a Business Central hero.
Challenge accepted. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Business Central procedures. We hope you learned a ton and are feeling inspired to write some awesome code. And hey, if you come up with any brilliant procedure solutions, share them with the community. We're all in this together. Until next time, happy coding.